2010. And we have gotten a lot worse, not better. And one of the reasons is that people still don't want to listen to what's happening. So that is why this conference, Prevention and Demand Reduction, that's why we're here. And I wish this place was packed out. And I wish this place was packed out by Christians, to be honest with you, because that's kind of my lane. And I'm going to talk a lot about prevention and faith. One of the things is I want you guys to understand is I am just an average person. And I've been doing this for 17 years, but what is different about me is I kept saying yes to God. I just kept saying yes. I kept going forward and I just kept saying yes. And I started realizing that I was being influenced by Hollywood. I was being desensitized by, our culture. And I started seeing that really, to be honest, I was part of the problem. The other thing that just really shook me, just really got to me is that every time I would open up the Bible, I would see scripture that talked about stuff like this, what we should be doing for each other. Think about just the Samaritan story. Think about Matthew 25, just to paraphrase. Feed those who are hungry or thirsty or naked or a stranger. Take care of them. Take care of the sick. Go into the prison. Help the orphans. Help the widows. Think of this one, okay? Romans 12, 9 through 11. Don't just pretend to love them. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. Some translation says hate what is evil. Hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with a genuine affection. Take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Over and over again, the scripture talks about this. I started thinking about when Jesus says, go make disciples. Well, when the disciples were being made, what happens? Nations changed. Nations changed. They went into a community and the culture changed. In fact, most believe that the Roman Empire was destroyed because of the Christians' influence. So let's talk a little bit about why the Christian's voice isn't louder than the traffickers these days, or the ones who are hurting the ones that are being victimized. Let's talk a little bit what fuels this. I want you to think about this with America, okay? This is what fuels human trafficking today. Lust and greed. America is one of the richest countries in the world, but 1 out of 4 children are going hungry every day. Our culture is sex-driven and very few boundaries to protect. School dropouts, drugs and alcohol addiction, gangs, homelessness, broken homes, lack of father figures in children's life, culture influence, social media, crime, generational poverty, being desensitized. Like watching the stuff on TV. You can't even watch commercials these days. Foster home system, foster care system, DSS is overloaded. Poor role models, runaways, lacks of morals and ethics, neglect. I just want you to think about your own family structure. I didn't even name them all. You could just think about your own family structure and some of maybe the trauma that you suffered from. But you know who is affected the most? It's the children. These children are adults now. The ones you just saw, they're adults. And one thing that I know is that broken people have broken people. We're not in a place right now in America where even the education system, which used to be the ones who actually would bring true information to protect children, and now there's an ideology going in there that actually hurts children. So again, we have to be, the church especially, has to be the influence that changes the culture. There is no other way, unless we just keep getting worse. So trauma happens every day. We can turn on the news and see that, right? And so we have to think about, what can we do to actually put safety nets or support people who have trauma. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because I truly believe that prevention is optimistic. And I hope that you will see that too. And I hope that you will get stirred and want to start doing your part, because like I said, it's just saying yes. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is support and safety nets. If a person cannot get shelter, they cannot get food, they cannot get water, they cannot find safety, the basic things that keeps people, that gets people in trouble, if they can't find that, they're going to be desperate, and they're going to look for things that is actually going to get them in trouble. One thing that we have learned about human trafficking, especially sex trafficking, is if they don't have their needs met, if women don't have their needs met, they're going to keep making mistakes worse and worse and worse until it becomes really bad. And we have seen that over and over and over again. We had to give them a choice. And that really, really means to me, this is something that I kept praying a lot about, because see, to me, a choice is, it's a gift from God. Life or death, saying yes to him, saying no to him. A change and not change. But with human trafficking, that choice is taken away. It's taken away from a person. They have no choice. They have no voice. Their humanity is gone, because it's all been taken away. I've done over 300 assessments just here in Brunswick County. And there's a couple that really sticks out to me that I want to share with you. And this really kind of lines up with what I'm talking about as far as a Christian perspective goes. I was doing an interview with one of the young ladies, and she kept referring to this man she called Preacher. And I was like, who is Preacher? And she's like, oh, he's the one that led me to Jesus. But he was also her trafficker. You see it. You see it on TV where youth pastors and pastors take advantage of people in their congregation. We can't be naive to what is going on in our culture today. Jesus says that you will know them by their fruit. Peace, joy, love, kindness, gentleness, self-control, patience. Not by how loud their voice is or how charismatic they are, but actually their heart, their pure heart is what we should be looking for in people. There was another girl from Guatemala. She was trafficked here. This actually happened during COVID. And she didn't even speak her own language, and didn't even know her own, didn't know how to read or write. And they shamed her for actually getting help. Her mother, she would call her mother in Guatemala, and they would shame her for getting help. And that's something we have to realize too. America is the land of the free, but one of the things that's happened is we've let a lot of people that don't have the same values we do in America. And they haven't gone through our laws or our Constitution to find out, what is acceptable behavior and what is not. Confusion. There's a lot of confusion going on these days. The other day I was talking to someone about the conference, and she says, is there really human trafficking going on in our community? I told her about my work and the data I collected. Blank face. I told her that we live in between two destination cities. Wilmington and Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach is one of the #1 cities for human trafficking. Blank face. I said, how come every time you go into a restaurant bathroom, there's a sign that's posted on the bathroom wall that says, if you need help, if you're being held against your will, call this number. She said, oh, that's just there for money. I said, there's nothing in there about money. It's all about getting help. I said, why would our government put that up if there isn't a problem? But there's a lot of confusion around human trafficking. Maybe it's still true that people don't want to talk about what's going on. Maybe it's easier to stay in our bubble, but that's not scripture. To change the norm, we first need to face it. We can't normalize this. We have to fight to change it. The point is that if we keep ignoring the problem that's right in front of us, it's going to keep getting worse and worse, and it has. I want you to think about this. 17 years ago, this was a $30 billion industry. Today, it's a $236 billion industry. That is Walmart, Amazon, Visa, and Google combined. It thrives in broad daylight. Let's talk about AI just for a minute, okay? Because this is taking over our world right now. And I'm not saying that AI is all bad and technology is all bad, because I really like this microphone right here. All right, so I'm not saying that, but I want you to think about this. Science has proven that technology is not good for the brain too much. It's not good for the brain, okay? If you think about during COVID, our children was isolated, and that phone took the place of relationships. Now, Chatbox and ChatGPT is actually having conversations with our children about sex. They're having conversation with our children about self-harm. About self-harm. AI is teaching our children how to hurt themselves. We need to put laws in place to protect us from AI. I'm not saying it's bad. It has to be balanced. Right now, there's hardly anything to protect young people. We have to educate them. Look, we want our children to stay innocent, but that's a lot different than being naive. And we have to be the adults in the room. We have to talk to them about these things. We have to let them know what's going on, how to have a safety plan, and they have to be able to know that they can come to talk to us even on the hard subjects. I used to tell my kids all the time after they became adults, you don't need to talk to me about everything. But now I had to take that back, because these days they do. Because if they can't talk to me about their hard stuff, who can they talk to? I definitely don't want them to talk to AI about it. I want them to have a relationship with me. Victim blaming is another big problem. The government has very low numbers. Listen to this, okay? There's 27.6 million people trapped in trafficking. 0.4 now, okay? Only 0.4 victim is identified. That's 99.6% of victims without help and freedom. And they're not going to identify themselves. They do not identify themselves. I've been doing this for a long time, and they don't. They don't identify. So traffickers are not slowing down, and neither should we. Now, we are willing to come in and equip churches to help them understand what they can do to help. And I hope that you'll do that. I hope that you'll say, hey, let's get them in. Let's help our congregation to understand how to help the people that they can influence. Because it's important. It only takes one person to change another person with relationships. In ending, I want to read a poem to you, because like I said, there was a lot of things that actually affected me to get me to this place. And this poem right here was one of the things that really kind of shook my world and kept me moving forward even when nobody was listening. It's called SOS Outreach. Wake up, wake up. Jesus is shaking the church, those who are asleep, like a father going crazy for his daughters. Jesus' daughters have been kidnapped. His babies are sitting in bondage. He is calling us, saying, I want you to go and find my daughters who are sitting in bondage. They're waiting day and night for someone to search them out. I need someone to go into their dark, dirty brothels and call their name. Someone to open the door and let the light in. Tell them that their father loves them. Tell them that they have been deceived and that they don't belong there. They should never believe that they belong there. Tell them, I sent you. Hug them. Hug them. Kiss them like I would kiss them. Clothe them, feed them, caress their hair like I would. Look them in the eye and see what I see, their father. See their bright future. See their beautiful lives. See them in their true home where they belong. Do not call them prostitutes, because I have a name for them. I created them in my image, and they are mine. They may seem comfortable, but that's only because they're blind and they are numb and they're in chains. Go get my daughters. Thank you.